Hello and welcome to another tutorial from OICT. Today's tutorial is going to be in WPF and C#. We're going to be making a binary calculator game. Let's just quickly take a look. So in this game, basically we have all of these buttons that represent the labels that are placed on top, and then when we click on start, it tells us what is 11 in binary, so we need to figure out how to calculate 11 in binary. So if I just go here and change that to 1, so that represents 8, and this one represents 2, right? So that's 8 plus 2 is 10, and then you can set the last one to 11, and then when we click on check, it will tell us the answer is correct. Okay, and then when we click on start again, it will give us a different number to calculate. So to calculate this number, what we can do is we can plus 128 plus 8 plus 2 and then plus 1. Okay, so if we do like a number, let's keep the last one 0 and then click on check, so it tells us that this this binary number here is incorrect. So 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 1 0 is incorrect. So what we need to do, we are basically a number shy, so we can just add the last one there and then click on next, and then it will tell us that this number is correct. Okay, so every time we click the start button, it basically generates a random number for us to calculate within the binary attributes. This is a fun way to learn binary and also to make a small little app in WPF and C#. So I thought this would be a fun building block for us to build on top of the kind of thing that we need to make. We also have another button for help. It actually just shows us a message box, and then it tells us about some information about the game and how to basically play it. Okay, first let's make a new project in Visual Studio. So click on new, create a new project. I'm using the 2019 version. So click on WPF app and .NET framework. So these are the recent templates. You can also find the template from here if you just search for it. Okay, so let's click on next. We're going to name this project binary calculator game OICT. Okay, make sure you know where the project is being saved. So this is the blank project. What we're going to do is we're going to make this app inside the grid layout. In the last tutorial, we have gone over some of the basic stuff about grids and columns and rows, but we're going to go into slightly more detail about them today. Okay, so now let's name the grid. So inside the grid tag, we're just going to call this one, let's say main grid. So let's do the row definition. So what we're going to need is 3 rows. Okay, the row definition here, that's going to be the first row, and then we can set the height of this one to 100. Let's do another row definition here. Let's set this one's height to 50. That's where all the buttons are going to be. Let's set another row definition. This one's height is going to be 100. Okay, so these are the 3 rows, so that's the first, second and third. Okay, so now let's go to the columns. Let's go add the columns that we need. So what we're going to do is we're going to need 9 columns altogether. So let's just go and add those. Yeah, okay, and then what we're interested in is the width. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a width of a auto format. So we're going to say width and then a star signature right there. What that would do is, based on the width of the form, it will distribute accordingly. Okay, so what we can do here is we can just copy and paste that. 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, so as you can see, they have distributed themselves. So I'm just gonna go call the label. Let's say this one is okay. So the label's been added inside the first column, but what we want is the label to be panned across a little bit. So let's go and add a few properties to inside of this one. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see better. So let's say font size, I'm going to set that to 25. Okay, see each property has an equal sign and a double quotation mark on it. So you put the value inside of it. Let's actually set the height for this one for now. So say height to 100. Let's go vertical content align to center. So I centered the label there. And let's go to grid. The column span. So how many columns do we want it to span over? Okay, so see I set it to 5. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going over 5 different columns there. From the top, let's do the 2 buttons for the start and for the help. So let's say start here. The button for the start, and then we also make a button again for help. Okay, now let's go and set the properties for these values, because at the moment they're both inside the first column. Right, let's go change the column on this one. Say grid column, so we can actually specify which column we want it to be in. So if I set to 8, see it jumps over to the last column there. Okay, you can also set the height to 33. What we need to do is vertical alignment is going to be bottom. Okay, so it's on the bottom of the grid there. We'll do the same for this one again. Column number 8, height 33, but this one vertical alignment is going to be top. We can also change the color of these buttons here. So start one, let's just say background like so. And then inside of here we can actually specify a color. So let's get this in the color of light green, because that's going to be for the start. This one here can be, say, light pink. I think we'll put this one at the top, then this one at the bottom. So that way the start button stays on the top there. Okay, so now that's the top row done. Now here is where we're going to put all of our labels for 256, 128, 64, and so on. Let me show you how to do that easily. So just do one label first. So say for example this one is 256. Font size set to 20. Then of course we're going to say grid. This one is going to be on the location 0, row 1. Okay, so we don't want it in the same row as the title, we want it right here. Okay, let's say horizontal alignment to center, so it actually centers the object where it is. So what we can do here now is I can copy this over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's just make a few quick adjustments here. So I'm gonna move that over to 1. It moves it one way down. So say 128. Move that one to 2, 64. That to 3, 32. Move that to 4, 16. Move that to 5, 8. Move that to 6, 4. Move that to 7, 2. The last one, move that to 8, so 1. Okay, so the nice thing about the grid system is that it's actually responsive to how you resize the form, and it all stays nicely organized. Okay, so now it's time to put our text boxes in here. So what we're going to do is let's go and write a text box here, and then instead of ending it the usual way we have ended it there, what we're going to do, we're going to end it in a shorthand style like this. So this way we don't have to end it in 2 different ways. But good thing about this is that we can, because we don't need a value inside of it at the moment, we're going to be adding the value later on, and the users are able to add the value themselves. So let's just follow along with this. So first thing first is max length. So what we're interested in is how many characters are we allowing a person to enter in this. So we only want them to enter just one character inside of this one. And let's say grid column to 0, and then grid row, we're going to put it on the second row. Okay, so let's set the font size of this one to 20. Okay, we'll send the tag. So it's the tag, the way we're going to identify a lot of the stuff that goes inside this box is going to be through a tag. Okay, so we're going to give the tag of 256 because that's right under the 256 model right there. So let's say text alignment is going to be center, say horizontal alignment to center as well. So let's give this one a width of 70 and then a height of 70 as well. And then what we're interested in lastly is a background color. So what we want is we want to give each box a different background color. So this one can be background to say light coral. I like the light colors, so we can set all of them up to like, so I'm just going to zoom out a little bit on this. So as you can see, the line's gone quite long here, so not to worry. You can now copy and paste this one for each of them. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So with all the text boxes pasted in, let's just go make some changes to this. So we place them in the right column. So this one goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then 8. Okay, so they're all been placed. I'm going to change the tag to 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1. Okay, so now let's just go change the background color of each of them. So this one we can make it to light cyan, this one light green, this one to plum, light slate blue, say light gray, light yellow, say yellow green, still a light-ish color, and then obviously we got aqua. Okay, so that would be the text boxes. So even if you run it now, let's take a look at what it looks like. So this would be the final outlook. So we still gotta add a couple of more labels and a button to make this game work. Okay, so let's add the question label. Okay, so inside of this label tag we can add the properties for this label. First one is name, so we'll call this one txt question, and then we can say grid row because we're interested in putting it into the third grid, so we can put it on here. What we can also do is say column span, so we want it to span across a few, so we can say 6 column span there. Okay, so it actually spans across 6, so we can even put it, to span across all of them. What we want to do is we will also say grid column to 1, so it moves the 1 over. Okay, so that way it's sort of in the center. So we can also say, like, say for example 7. Okay, so let's give this one a font size of say 25, and say full color, foreground to green. Okay, so now what we can do here is, because the text is aligned to the left there, we can say is horizontal content alignment to center. That way the text will always stay in the center. So now what we want to do is we want to bring it down a little bit so it's right here. So it's still in its position, but as you can see, it will add Visual Studio will add a little bit of margin there. You can sort of see the preview of it, and then I'll just make it slightly smaller as well. So let's copy and paste this one. Here. So what we'll do is we'll just get rid of the margins because we just need to drag and drop here again. So as you can see, it's not going to show up here because at the moment it's Visual Studio is thinking that we have got two components with the same name, so that's going to cause an error. So we're going to call this one answer here, and then you should be able to see that appear right there. And what we also need to do is we need to change the foreground here to say maroon color, then change that text here to say answer. Okay, so now we'll just drag and drop it right over here, make it a little bit smaller so we can still see that text show up there as well. Okay, so the last thing we need is a button. This button is going to be called check, so that's going to be this button will check when we play the game whether we put the right input in or not. Let's add some properties for this button first. So let's say font size to 16. Let's bring it to the grid row first. Grid row 2. So we're bringing it down here. And then what we also can say is grid column. We can set it to number 3. And then we can say grid column span. You can go over 3. Okay, so now what we can do here is we can bring the button all the way down. Okay, so we'll add that little margin bit for us. Okay, so after that we don't want the button to be this big, so what we'll do is we'll just set the height to 100. Let's set the height to 60. Right, and let's set the width to say 90. 100. This is slightly bigger there. Okay. Let's try to run this now and see how it looks. So this would be the final look for the app at the moment. So we got our text boxes. Actually, one of the things that we may have missed is the text boxes. The text are appearing right on the top there. So what we want to do is we want to set them so they appear in the middle of the text box instead of right at the top. So we can say here is say vertical content alignment like this, and then just say center. Okay, so just copy and paste that into the text boxes there. Okay, so let's run it again and find out. Okay, so right now it comes up right in the middle of the box. Okay, so let's go and add the events that we need for the help, start help, and the check button there. So let's go to the start button here and type in here, click, say start game like so. So that's going to be the event. Then in this one here, we'll say click show help like this. Just zoom in a little bit. Okay, so inside the button we're putting in click start game button, click show help. Okay, and then the last button is the check game here, so we can say click again and say check game. Okay, so if you right click on the start game first and then click on go to definition, that would automatically add the event. So if you go to again and show help, then that event's been added as well. Click on the check game. Okay, and now that's been added. Okay, so the main focus of the game at the moment is to generate a number under 511, because if you add all these numbers together we only get 511. So we don't want to give a question that's going to be more than that. It's going to be impossible to calculate within this frame. So what we'll need is we'll need a random number generator and somewhere to actually calculate the total of what we got. So let's go and make a random number generator first. So say rand equals new random. Okay, and then we'll need an int for total and another int for, say, just to save the random inside it. Okay, so those are the three variables that we're going to need. I think initially what we'll do is we'll disable this button here. So what we'll say is just go to, say, give a name to the check button. So say btn check. So where the program first runs is inside of this constructor. So what we'll say here is btn check dot is enabled equals to false. Okay, so we just set that to false for now. So let's do the start function. Let's generate a random number inside the random int right there, and just say next. So in between there, we're going to generate a number between 0 and 511. Okay, and then let's say txt question dot content is going to be equals to so it's going to show this number, whatever it generates inside of this question. Okay, then we'll also enable the check button there. Is enabled, is set back to true. We're going to remove anything that's available on the answer text at the moment. So content is equals to, let's just give it an empty string there. Okay, and what we also want to do is we want to populate each of these text boxes with a 0. In order to do that, we need to run a for each loop. So let's just run a for each loop in here, and then we'll say is variable x in main grid dot children dot of type, because we're only interested in the text boxes. So let's go look for the text box here. Okay, so what we're looking for is we're going to save a local variable called x, and then we're going to loop through all of the text boxes in here, and when we find each text box, we can say x.text is equals to 0, like so. Okay, so that's the start game function there. So if I run this, so at the moment it's this button here is disabled. So if I click on start, then suddenly it all becomes with 0. I think I missed a space there as well. Okay, let's go add the space. Okay, so now let's go to the show help. So in this one, it's just going to be a message box. So message box.show. Let's do a bracket like so, and then we'll do this because it's going to be multi-line. So we'll just make some lines here. Say here. Okay, so that would be the message that we want to show inside the help, and then we'll just say here. So if you do a comma and then just put okay, so that would be the actual caption, so that would be the title of the help window. Okay, so let's try that. So if I go and start the game now, okay, so once again, if I click on start, it gives me a value, puts all the zeros inside the boxes, and then you can click on help. So here it says help for the binary game, and it shows all the information in here. Okay, awesome. So now last thing to do is to check how we can calculate the numbers. So this is where the tags that we included inside the text boxes, this is where those become quite handy. Okay, so let's first of all let's go and change the total to a 0 when the function runs. Okay, so I'm going to empty the answers again. Okay, let's run another for each loop. So x in main grid dot children dot of type. What we're interested in is a text box, not text alignment. Text box, and then do this 2 small brackets. Okay, so now what we're going to say is if x dot text is equals 1. So if we have put 1 inside the text box, right? So if any of the text boxes are not 0 but it's 1, that's when what we're going to do is we're going to say total plus equals convert to int 32, and then right here we're going to say x dot tag. So that's the reason why we got the plus equal sign there, is because then if we find multiple boxes with the 1, it's just going to add the value of the tags together. So say for example, if it finds 1 here, it will do 1, and then if it finds 2, it will do 3, and then if it finds 4, it will do 7, and then so on and so forth. But we also need to show the binary value inside of this to say whether this is the right answer or it's the wrong answer. Okay, so while inside the for loop, we're going to be adding the zeros and ones to this label. So let's go and say answer txt answer.text, no, so txt answer.content is going to be plus equals x.text. So it's just going to add whatever value that there is inside of it on the actual. So if it's a 0 here, 0 here, 0 here, then it's going to say 0, then add another 0 and another 0 after that. Okay, and then obviously lastly we need to check whether we can win. Now let's check if we get the number right or wrong. So say if total is equals random int. Okay, so if both of these numbers are exactly the same, then we can say checked btn check dot is enabled back to false, because at this point we got it right. Okay, and then we can say answer dot content is plus equals, this time we're going to say a space is correct, and then finish off with a semicolon there. Okay, so that way obviously if the player has won it, then they don't have to play it again, and then well, they don't have to answer anymore. They can just click on the start button to start again. So what we'll do is we'll check this here and say is incorrect. So if this statement here isn't true, then we just run the incorrect bit right here. Okay, so I think that's all that we need. Right, so let's give it a run and see how that works out for us. Okay, so first thing first is click on the start button. Okay, so we get 322. I'm just going to hide this bar from here. So this bar is for debug purposes, so we can actually hide it, and then you can see the other B. Actually, we forgot to put the title on the screen as well. That's fine. Alright, let's go here and say 256 1. We can leave that one as a 0. We can give this a 1 here. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, so that says that 10001 is correct. So if we were to do, let's say for example, a quick Google search on this, so let me just type that in here. Okay, so if you take a look at this, so that's the Maths Warehouse website, and I just put that number inside of here to get 322. All right, let's try another one. So let's go and say start. So this time it comes up with 3. So that's going to be obviously 2 and then the 1 there. So let's just try it with 2, and then let's not put 1 in here, and let's just check. So say it says that 2 is incorrect. Okay, so let's try with another one. So if you say with 4, that is incorrect. Okay, so now if you do this one and this one, check that, and then it says that these 2 are correct. So I know we did quite a lot of work in the XML version, because building up the UI and stuff like that, sometimes it does take a bit of a while. But if you do need to double check the code and maybe copy some of it for your own project, you can always visit the link in the description, and the full source code of the website, including some of the help text and documentation, are available on the MoICT website, and you can easily access them and get the help that you need. Okay, I do hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you on the next one.